Welcome to Payoff Pitch Action Network's Major League Baseball betting podcast. I'm Collin Whitchurch, joined today by Sean Zerillo and Derek Carty for a look at Game 1 of the 2025 World Series. We have the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. If you missed a series overview episode, we talked futures, we talked World Series MVP. Look back in the feed, the episode right before this one. Sean and I went in depth. We talked for like 45 minutes about all kinds of bets. But today, on this episode, we are focused on Game 1. A little bit of a surprise this morning. A little bit of a surprise. I'm not going to say a huge surprise. The Blue Jays announced Trey Yesavage starting this game. We thought it would be Kevin Gausman. They've started Kevin Gausman in Game 1 of their previous playoff series, but they went with Yesavage. Maybe makes a little bit of sense because Gausman pitched in Game 7. Yesavage pitched in Game 6. Regular rest here for the young phenom, who I believe his first start of the year came in high A, something like that, and now he's starting Game 1 of the World Series in front of a raucous home crowd. Dodgers minus 157 on the money line. DraftKings, as of this recording. I should note we're recording this Thursday night, getting it up on your feeds a little bit early with the extra day, with the off day, obviously, today. Blue Jays plus 129. Over-under currently sitting at 7.5. Sean, before we get into these Game 1 bets, just for anyone who might have missed it, and with the Yesavage switch, any updates to your series projections here? Or we feeling better, worse, the same? How's that looking?
Yeah, the series projection mostly remains the same. It just kind of switches the Blue Jays' likeliest games that they win in this series. Initially, I had projected game one, game two pretty similarly. Now, game two, they will be a shorter underdog than they are in game one. It is the likeliest game for them to win the series, as will be game six, assuming Kevin Gausman faces Yoshinobu Yamamoto in both games. But it also does force Trey Yesavage to make his first career road postseason start and just the third road start in the major leagues, I believe, of his career, maybe the fourth. So that definitely switches things around for me in terms of how I'll project out the Dodgers in game five, how much I like the Dodgers probably in game five, especially considering they'll be able to prep for him at home with their traject machine. The Blue Jays did waited until the Dodgers got on a plane and went to Toronto before announcing their starting pitcher. They may have had this plan for the entire week once Kevin Gausman threw in game seven. But I do think with him starting in game one, they're just going for a little bit more upside here, a little bit of a surprise because Yesavage, first time through the order against hitters, just a 499 OPS. There's definitely an adjustment period to his arm angle, which I believe is the highest in the major leagues at the moment. Him and Jonathan get it all the way up there. But just to recap the futures that we discussed yesterday, or the series props that we discussed yesterday, if you did not bet Dodgers futures during the playoffs, we recommended it several times. We pointed to my projection. We pointed to Derek's the bat projection, which now has the Dodgers around 80% to win the World Series. I'm closer to 70%, about minus 235. Oopsie is at 68%, Fangraphs around 69%, but ATC at 76%. Derek all the way up near 78% is where the bat has the Dodgers currently. I think there's value on the Dodgers using my game by game projections all the way up to around minus 225. That's still a 1% edge compared to my number. You could bet that if you don't have Dodgers futures, whether you have Dodgers futures or not. I like their minus 1.5 game spread as well. I make that around minus 120. And their plus 1.5 game spread too, I make around minus 460. You can bet minus 425 at DraftKings. You could play that, or you can use that as a parlay piece as well. Maybe combine it with one of my UFC bets that I have coming out this weekend. But just the overview in general, they'll have a starting pitching advantage in every matchup. They have superior plate discipline, third lowest chase rate on the year. The Jays, the fifth highest. The strikeout rates narrowed between the two teams as the year went on in September. The Dodgers ranked sixth in strikeout rate. Toronto ranked fifth. And then also the power advantage as well for the Dodgers. Top five in barrel rate, average exit velocity, isolated power, pulled fly ball rate. Toronto closer to the league average in all of those metrics. And the last point, too, even though Toronto defensive advantage on paper, Bo Bichette may be coming back into their lineup here. And in order for him to get in the lineup and also for them to play George Springer, Bichette is going to have to play shortstop. And as we discussed yesterday, he couldn't really round the bases the other day. Now, it seems like he's in better shape. Or when I say the other day, maybe before the ALCS, it seems like he's doing a little bit better 10 days later, but he was one of the worst defensive shortstops in baseball this season. Minus 12 defensive runs saved, minus 13 outs above average for Bichette. So they're going to be fielding a weaker defensive team than they had against the Mariners in the ALCS. More runners on base for the Dodgers means more runs are going to score when they hit the home runs.
Derek, I'm going to bring you in here because you've been joining us usually on Fridays throughout the playoffs with some player props. And one of the things we've talked about a little bit is that in these, as the slate has gotten smaller, we go from 4 games to 2 games some nights to even 1 game a night. There are props that you have where you're like, this is a firm edge. And there are props you have you're like, this is more of a lean. Got to find a bet on this game. This is what I do for a living. Is more of a lean. You've got a prop today that I'm really intrigued by, and I'm curious if it's more the former or the latter here.
It is more of a lean than a full play here. But I do think it's interesting. I'm looking at Kike Hernandez to hit a home run plus 1040 at DraftKings is the best price on the board right now. Um, so Kike is interesting because he's facing Yesavage, obviously, who has this extremely high arm angle, projects for a really extreme platoon split as a result. And so even though it's righty on righty here, I think Kike is a sneaky bet for a home run. Toronto's not as homer friendly of a park as LA is, believe it or not, but it is still a very homer friendly park. And we should probably see a closed roof here. So, neutral weather, which this time of year is about as good as we can expect. So this one projects again, not amazingly, but it does show some value.
There is there are few guys you will find who have more playoff experience than Kike Hernandez. I just went to look up how many games he's played while you're talking to see how many home runs he has. He will play during this series his 100th career playoff game. He's at 96 right now. 15 career postseason homers, 863 career playoff OPS. Not the player he once was, obviously now at the age of 34. But if there's it was very similar to my George Springer angle in game 7 of the LCS, which came through where it's like big game, who's the unlikely hero? Kike Hernandez could very well be it today. Sean, you went back through your series prices. Any props or sides or totals you're on specifically for this game one?
Yeah, unfortunately, no side or total for game one. I made the game around minus 133, assuming Gaussman was going to start. I make it closer to minus 150 with Yesevich starting, total around 7.3 with Gaussman starting, around 7.5 with Yesevich. So regardless of who was pitching, there was no better than the side or total. I made the Dodgers team total around 4.25. The juice on that, though, on the over 3.5 is around minus 150. So there's no value there really either. That would probably, among all the side and total options, Dodgers team total over 3.5 would be where I would lean. I just can't justify betting it at the price tag it's at. But if you listened to the World Series preview that we put out on Wednesday, you may know where I'm going with my hitter props already. Should reiterate the Blake Snell MVP play, considering this is the angle going into game one. I said yesterday, if the Dodgers lose game one, you can basically pivot to Yamamoto to win MVP because then Dodgers to win 4-2 becomes their likeliest win probability if they drop game one. But Blake Snell going into game one, 20-1, down to about 15-1. It's wild to say that a guy who has won 2 Cy Youngs could be in career best form. But he has, since he came back from the IL in August, his strikeout minus walk rate, including postseason starts, has climbed north of 25%, which would represent a career high. His pitching plus rating is also sitting at what would be a career high at around 115. So Blake Snell throwing it about as well as he ever has. The Blue Jays do strike out a little bit more against left-handed pitching, hit for slightly less power against left-handed pitching, strikeout rate about 1.5 points higher, isolated power about 15 points lower. So in general, I think Snell matches up with this Jays team about as well as any of the Dodgers pitchers possibly could. But if it's going to end 4-1 in the series, which it is favored to do, it is the likeliest outcome in the betting market, Dodgers to win 4-1, it means Blake Snell is the only pitcher who could possibly win 2 games. Steven Strasburg won the MVP in a 7-game series, but he started just 2 games. He didn't come in relief in game 7, won 2 of the 7 games, and won World Series MVP in a similar price range, about 19-1. So I think Blake Snell can get it done from an MVP perspective. If he doesn't in game 1, as I said, he pivot to Yamamoto in game 2. But my player prop for game 1 aligns with my player prop on Max Muncy for the series. I like Muncy as the home run leader. I like Muncy to win the MVP. Muncy is favored among Dodgers hitters to lead the series in RBI. He's ranked second behind Ohtani in projected home run odds. Our Action Labs model for game 1 specifically has Muncy at around plus 337 to hit a home run. I bet him at plus 540. I put him in the Action Network app. We also make him around plus 190 to drive in a runner. I put that in the app at about plus 200. I would personally take that down to about plus 175, but the home run bet clearly has more value on it. I think you could take that down to around 4-1. Just to reiterate the case from yesterday, among players in this series in terms of home run floor and swing path, Muncy ranked 4th in all of baseball this year in pull air rate, putting the ball in the air and pulling it in the air specifically, the most consistent and reliable way to put the ball out of the ballpark. Cal Raleigh ranked 3rd ahead of him this season. Kyle Schwarber ranked, I believe, 1 spot behind. Aaron Judge, much more reliant. Shohei Ohtani, a little bit more reliant on putting the ball all fields, hitting it to center, hitting it to the opposite field. Ohtani ranks 85th in that metric. Mookie Betts, the closest guy to Muncy in this series at 36th. Ernie Clement, the closest guy to Betts at 69. So nice. Muncy easily has the best and most reliable swing path in terms of being able to hit the ball out of the ballpark. Plus 500, very generous. I like that down to about 4-1 for Muncy. His RBI prop down to about plus 175. And then finally, Trey Yesavage under 5.5 strikeouts. I take it at minus 120. I like it up to around minus 150. I project it closer to 4.9, even 4.8. If you combine his hits, outs, and walks props for this game, the market puts him at about 21.5 batters. The under, though, on his 14.5 outs, opened at plus money and is now sitting at around a pick'em price. So the betting market immediately knocked his under strikeouts and under outs props down. I think directionally, those are correct. Now, the Dodgers, they have a couple of extra days at home to potentially prepare for him using the Trudect machine, which the Mariners did not have the luxury of doing, which the Yankees did not have the luxury of doing before going to Toronto to face him. So I think that is certainly an interesting angle that you can't really factor into the calculus here. But regardless, my math still puts Yesavage closer to 5 strikeouts than 6. So definitely the under on Yesavage up to minus 150 on the 5.5 strikeouts, in addition to Muncy to homer, my 2 favorite props for game 1, but also have a Muncy MVP ticket and a Snell MVP ticket on top of a Dodgers minus 1.5 ticket too.
Dodgers team total for game 1, by the way, you mentioned 3.5. 4.5 is plus 122 is the best line I could find out there while you were talking, if people were interested in laddering that. But before we move on, don't forget to sign up for Action Pro for real-time pick alerts from experts like Sean Zerillo, Derek Carty, and our entire Action Network team. Plus, you can access our pro projections powered by Sean Kerner and our predictive analytics team. Just go to actionnetwork.com/pro and get $20 off the annual price with the promo code PAYOFF20. So don't miss out on the best bets at the best prices. Visit actionnetwork.com/pro. Use promo code PAYOFF20 to get $20 off a year of Action Pro. All right, I've got my last bets here to give out, and then we will build our SGP quick. I've got 4 hitter props here, narrowed them down. Like you, Sean, I am going, at least in a couple of cases, to the guys I talked about on our MVP show yesterday. On the Dodgers side, that is the case with Will Smith. First, again, I bet him for MVP at 35-1. I also bet him, I talked about this as a potential bet on the show. I did end up locking it in because I found a price I liked. I bet him for most hits in the series as well at 18-1. So naturally, I'm going to like him most games. Smith grades out elite against both the 4-seamer and slider. Those are Yesavage's 2 main pitches. The third main pitch he throws, the splitter, he's only slightly below the baseline. So I like Smith here compared to other Dodger hitters and their success against those pitches and their lines. 2+ bases is plus 150 as of this recording, and for him to hit a home run, plus 630. Also, when I mentioned on the preview pod, my real long shot MVP pick, Andy Pajes. He's the only hitter on the Dodgers who grades out above his baseline expected performance against the four-seamer, slider, and splitter. Those are the three pitches Dodgers hitters are going to see most often tonight. And they're Yesevic's top three pitches. No, it's not a coincidence that the game one starters arsenal coincides with which pitches the Dodgers are going to see most often throughout the series. So Pajes, get off to a good start here tonight in game one, plus 175 for 2+ bases, plus 800 to go deep. Little more trouble finding Blue Jays hitters, as you might expect. We'll probably stick with Dodgers hitters for that SGP, but I do have two real small bets here on, with Snell after the four-seamer, we're looking at his changeup and curveball, a little bit of a slider. It's not the best matchup for the Jays, as I said. They don't have a lot of elite hitters against the slider or curveball. One of the many reasons that the Snell and the Dodgers are priced as they are tonight. Dalton Varsho, though, he's intriguing. He's got the best numbers in my formula against the changeup, and he's also getting really good price because he's coming into the World Series, not necessarily the hottest. He's got really good prices out there right now, plus 232 for 2+ bases and plus 920 to go deep. Right behind Varsho in that department, my final bet is Alejandro Kirk. Bet him a couple times. He's come through in the bases market. Did hit one home run on a day that I decided not to couple the bases with the home run. He went deep. But I love betting his bases because of how contact-oriented he is. He's much like the opposing catcher, Will Smith. These are two very contact-oriented hitters behind the plate for these respected teams. So I like Alejandro Kirk, 2+ bases, plus 201 to hit a home run, plus 840. Looking at an SGP here tonight, it's probably all props. I mean, it's definitely all props because that's what we gave out on this show is props. No strong plays on the side or total. We could consider maybe adding Dodgers team total into that, but here's what I'm thinking. We go with Sean, your Yesevich under 5.5 strikeouts. You said that along with Muncy were neck and neck for your favorite prop. Derek, your play, Enrique Hernandez to hit a home run. That gives us some really good juice on this prop because it's already north of 10-1 just for him to hit a home run. And on my end, Will Smith seems like the safest bet to get 2+ bases for the Dodgers. That comes in at about 34-1. Derek, what do you think about our chances of hitting our SGP tonight?
34-1 sounds pretty good to me. I mean, seems like a lock, right? That's my take
Yes.
on it.
Yes. Z unit bet. No. We will be throwing some couch change on that. We recommend if you're going to bet these SGPs, you do couch change, you make the primary wagers, our primary bets. But that'll do it.
Colin, I got a couple more, just two more brief betting thoughts before we get out of here.
Go for it.
So first is the top prop in our app currently under our Bet Labs projections, Action Labs projections. Blake Snell under 6.5 strikeouts. Labs has him at 5.4. Now, the reason I did not go that route, one, he's certainly bumped up his strikeout rate, as I said, in August through the end of the year into the playoffs. It's climbed north of 30%, closer to 35%. His pitch usage, or his usage in general, has also gotten longer. He's also become more efficient as well. I believe since August, since he came back, or since September, I should say, he's averaging, I think, 6.4 innings and 99 pitches per start. And we've seen him pitch about as deep as he ever has. So betting Snell MVP, it'd be a little counterintuitive to be going against myself and also betting is under 6.5 strikeouts. But it is our biggest projected edge as of right now. And then the second point, we discussed the walk-off hit prop yesterday.
Right.
I tried to do some live math on the pod. It was the perils of trying to do math live and on the fly. So the actual walk-off rate in baseball is not 3%. It's closer to 8%, 8.5%. And if you're using that rate across a standard 7-game series, your walk-off price should be about plus 120 yes, minus 120 no would be a fair number. After adjusting for my specific probability for the series and the likelihood that it goes to each specific game, I would make it closer to minus 140, or sorry, minus 150 on a fair price for the series. I believe you took minus 145 for the no. So I think minus 150 is a reasonable fair number. You could even get it a little bit higher than that. I wouldn't go crazy laying the minus 145, but of the two sides of that line, I think it is clearly the value side to the no.
one of the perils of doing live math on the show, and is one of the perils of having a co-host who just gives out bets on a whim without doing the math himself, is what you should have said, but you were too kind to say. But I'm glad. I'm looking forward to that bet. I'm looking forward to it losing in game one on I was going to say on a Kike Hernandez walk-off home run, but we're in Toronto. Maybe it'll be an Alejandro Kirk walk-off home run. But that'll do it for today's episode of Payoff Pitch. Thanks for tuning in. If you'd like to tail some of the bets from today's episode, look for the quick slip links in the episode description. Don't forget to download the free award-winning Action Network app. Also, please leave us a 5-star rating and review wherever you listen to the podcast. Also, please check out our new AI quick slip bot on X. Just tag Playbook at Playbook. Tell it to grab whatever bets you're looking for. It'll create a quick slip for you in a matter of seconds. With game one on a Friday, we will be back with you on Monday for game 3. And every day, for as long as this series goes beyond game 3, we will have an episode. We will have best bets. Looking forward to it. We're coming down the stretch here. For Sean Zerillo and Derek Carty, I'm Collin Whitchurch. Thanks for listening to Payoff Pitch, Action Network's MLB betting podcast. Good luck with all your bets and enjoy game 1.